Good to see you. Yeah, nice to have you. I think I got to know about you through one of your posts on your page, which you
I'm
mentioned.
guessing it's the one that I had a little viral moment there.
When I saw that post, trust me, it's amazing seeing the transformation. I was like, where did that muscle, where did it come from?
Um,
That is amazing. It shows how much of work you've put in. Just want to
mhm,
learn one or two things from you, right? Nothing
okay.
serious. So the first thing, I would love to know, how did you start? What
Mm.
motivated you? What was the reason behind it? How did you start your fitness journey and how is it going now?
At first, getting into the gym was like started out with a thing of like, seeing everyone go to the gym. It started out like a train, like a movement. How our generation is, and I feel like it's something that we actually need to change. Once everyone is doing something, we want to do it.
Mhm.
And because actually, I have been in the gym for, I would say, it's going to be 3 years by this year, by September, October. So technically, I'll still say I've just been in the gym for like 2.5 years. But I started out, the gym. I had this friend that was any, you used to call her Muslim mommy. She's very like, so she was like, I wouldn't go to the gym if she wasn't going to the gym. So basically, she was my gym partner to kind of put me through the workouts and exercise, but I wasn't consistent, if I'm being very honest. Then along the line, kind of health issues and shots. What made me turn things around was when at a young age, I was 23, when, a diagnosis that said, oh, I'm pre-diabetic and a couple of other things. I was like, what? Pre-diabetics at this young age of mine. And, and now this is my sign to actually take things serious. And also the fact that there's a history of like in one side of my family that mainly affects the women. But I would always remember growing up, like, man, always be very cautious. He'll be like, yeah, woman, no, be eating like the boys, like, basically it wasn't fat shaming me. He just
Mhm.
always say that I should try not to put on too much. I didn't really understand it then, but as I grew older, like I got old that this is actually linked to a lot of things. So it took a lot of trial and error, failures, like
Mhm.
consistency to face in adulthood. You get to and you be like, oh, I don't have time. It's busy. You are packing shifts, especially as an immigrant in a foreign country. So like you're trying to figure out how to, stay.
Yeah.
Also, if you came into the student route as you're thinking, I would say I'm blessed to have parents that I didn't really have to worry about like school. So at least like my, it was a health scare that made me transition to, I mean, I'm in James 2.5 years, but technically I'll say I've been locked in for like the 10 to 11 months. That's when I actually started being consistent with it. But
So
yeah.
basically, what brought about the consistency is your health,
I
right?
mean, it's like at the end of the day, nobody is going to save you. Like nobody can make this thing work except you. You are the author and driving force of what you want your life to be, who you want to be. Like you keep, much younger, how you make some certain decisions and get away with it.
Mhm.
Like it's you. If anything happens, it is your name that's attached. It is what do you want to be known for? How do you want to live your life? And whatever you start doing now, it will be the layout and determine how life will be for you for the next as you
All right.
keep, your 30s and your 40s, and lifestyles and values are things that you also adapt into when you want to actually start raising a family of your own.
Yeah.
So that was just a sign that need to, and not only to the gym but also apply that mentality to every other aspect of your life. I mean, was where it started from, and you kind of to develop that discipline to be able to apply those things to other aspects of my life.
Mhm.
So yeah.
You were pre-diabetic, right? Do
Yeah.
you know what your body weight was during that period? And do you
So
think
at that time I was
yeah.
90. So like, the funny thing is that I
So do you
used to be
think your
very
body weight could have anything related to you being pre-diabetic,
pre-diabetes is like insulin resistance, then
right?
slow metabolism, then
Mhm.
I cannot eat, when you eat and you're feeling sleepy right after. I thought it was something very normal, but I didn't know about all of that until like I started to do a lot of like deep, slow metabolism. I can eat now and be hungry but my belly is full and bloated, then like not that, like developing pre-diabetic leads to a lot of things. That's like you are on your way to being diabetic, and we know how that, and how medicine can be. They kind of did have an earlier health condition called PCOS. It's not really common. I don't really think a lot of people know about that, and it's something I actually want a lot of people to get educated on because it's affecting more women commonly these days. PCOS called polycystic ovarian syndrome. So it was just a lot. Like I battling with that from 16, but like I said, I didn't have that exposure. I didn't. It was just a thing of like there was a certain medication that I was placed on, and but as I grew older, I realized that things like that was also part of weight gain, the body dysmorphia. Really have problems with acne when it comes to like issues with your skin, but like growing in places that you're not supposed to be developing as a woman, like chin, your what do you guys call it? You guys call your mustache,
Yeah.
chin, um, darkening the skin. It's like different women differently, but I know like my main issues were growing hair in like the places,
Mhm.
body dysmorphia, weight skin, then mood, like serious, like that's terrible it was until I eventually made the decision to kind of
So all
just
these things you've
get
mentioned, and you've mentioned in pre-diabetic and then
yeah.
PCOS. Is there any change now that you are now into fitness? What are the changes?
Honestly, I have a lot of changes now. My body weight is between last time I checked in the gym about 2 weeks ago, I was about 76 kg. I've been able to, I mean, it looks like I didn't really lose a lot, but I think I've gained more muscle mass, like mass than initial body fat. So a lot of things change, my eating habit changed, I sleep better, could sleep, let me even sleep for 8 hours, 10 hours, like you wake up feeling tired, sleepy, you have energy, you're feeling so unmotivated to do anything. But now I sleep better, I have better, my moods are well regulated, I'm no longer pre-diabetic. I mean, to also achieve that, I had to do a full blood work to
Okay.
actually know like what are the issues, what my body is lacking before, because that whatever research I was gonna do, to find out the root cause of the problem, to be able to tailor whatever, to do to make sure that these things work out. Like I said, there was a lot of trial and error before I could actually figure out what worked. But now it's like better moods, better, and slowly it's something that just happens overnight. It's, I think, becoming very consistent with it, that, an habit, it becomes a lifestyle. So it's not something that, it's a work in process. We're not
Right.
completely there, because technically they will tell you PCOS is not, it doesn't have a cure as it is according to modern medicine. But
Mm.
along the line, I've had custom meet women that says it's actually reversible. And another major symptoms of PCOS is like of childbearing age, it reduces your chances of being actually able to have kids of your own. So it makes it more difficult to actually have kids of your own when you want to actually start having kids. That's like another factor. And kids is something that
All right.
we all want at some point in life.
But do you think it's something fitness can manage or reverse? Have you seen any changes in that aspect through your
I mean,
exercise or something?
fitness, and so I tell people like the is actually just 20%, 30%. It's what you eat, what do you put in your body, what do you feed your body.
Hmm.
And have you ever noticed that generations lived way before, I'm talking about from our grandparents upward, a lot of them actually lived longer than the expected time frame. I had the opportunity to meet my great great grandma. Basically, she met
Wow.
3 generations of great grandchildren. My dad was her first great, was a great great. Then I have cousins that already have kids,
Yeah.
siblings, kids that they have kids already. So it's like you looking at their lifestyle. How was their lifestyle then? I love this thing is that I might die put a little bit of politics into it, but like I feel
Okay.
like society is also contributing to a lot of like we having like I'm talking about they're more after churning out quantity than actually the quality of what they're giving you.
Right.
So talking
Right.
about food you eat, lifestyle, clothing, fabric. At the end of the day, where does a lot of these problems stem from? Bad gut health. If you're not looking after your gut health, it affects, body produces on the outside. If you're not looking after what is on the inside, how do you expect what is on
Mm.
the outside to be good? So to be honest, if you don't have a good lifestyle, if you don't have a good eating habits, going to the gym is almost as practical. Yes, you will see results, but some people would see results, but it's still as practically as like you compounding some other problems. So to be honest, fitness is just like 20, 30, cutting out sugar. I've cut out soda for more than a year. I would say it's going to almost 2 years now. I don't take soda, already phasing out of that aspect of, to convince myself that okay, soda is bad. Fruit
Mm.
juice is still okay. But then again, there's nothing as, are they using to actually make those things? Because technically, if you notice, if you buy fresh produce, they go bad after 3 days, 4 days. But
Right.
like we have things that have been on the shelf for months. What are they using to preserve it? We don't know. It's just what they put on the
Yeah.
carton that you're seeing. But do you actually know? Wow, like do we actually know what we're putting into our system? Talking about eating fries, burgers, all of that. And if you
Mhm.
notice, to actually get quality and good food is actually way more expensive than your
Right.
average. You go into the shops and buy chicken and chips that God knows when last they changed the oil. God knows when last they changed the oil. And a lot of these oils, where they got getting it from, they're polysaturated fats that are not even meant for human consumption. A lot having to, say things like vegetable oil,
Mhm.
sunflower oil, rapeseed oil is actually good for you. But where are they getting things from? You all know sunflower is a flower. How are they churning out sunflower oil
Mm.
from sunflower? I find out things like olive oil, coconut oil, these are like the things that, and something called ghee made from animal fats. It's butter, but you can use it for cooking, whatever it is that you want to use it for. So it's like, what are we actually putting into our system? Are we aware of these people are just after how much money it makes them? But a lot of diseases have been on the high rise in the last 10 years, talking about cancer, diabetes, people as young as I am, even way younger than I am, are having to be on life support, needles, and all of that. So it's very scary. People are not actually getting the opportunity to have a lifeline like people are dying early. But it still boils down to the choices you decide to make for your life. And that's just, funny. I don't want to die young.
Yeah.
I want to be 80 years old and still be able to work without
That's the
needing
goal.
assistance,
That's the
not
goal.
having bad knees, but when you're in old age, that's all that's gonna start. Then I realized that it's the choices you make now. Just like the way they
Mhm.
say, choices you make when you are much younger that determines the kind of future you want to set out and
All
lay out
right.
for yourself. So it doesn't just apply to the gym. I feel like it applies to I don't even feel like it applies to every area and aspect of an individual life. So
What's the exercise routine like? What do you do?
working out for the week. And I did that about to 4 days a week about 4 months ago. I basically started, like I said, the income. I've been in the gym for a while, though. But yeah, it's now it's 4 days a week. I work out more of legs because of my kind of body type. I would say I'm an endomorph, so bigger up on the upside and the lower side. But I work out legs more, so I work out legs 2 days a week, 1 day of upper body, and then 1 day of full body routine. So that's my workouts. It's
So,
like
so have you ever been afraid of being bulky, maybe looking like a man from lifting weight?
I used to, because there was a point in life whereby I was do cardio for 40, 50 minutes. I barely used to lift weight. The fear of increasing weight, I'm just like, you lift weight heavy. Even tonight, I hear people say, ha, what are you lifting again? Yeah, you're already turning to a man. I'm like, a cup of tea. If I decide to do my body structure I mean, what I want. And I think it was from the time I stopped allowing people's opinion to matter, because no matter what you do, people always complain.
All
You
right.
can never, ever, ever say everybody. There will always be somebody that would have something to say about whatever it is you do, how you live your life. But at the end of the day, you need to do like what makes you happy and what you're comfortable with, not live your life based on the guideline of somebody else. Because at the end of the day, you're going to bite your teeth and be like, why I do this? Why did I do that?
So would you encourage any lady out there to go into the gym and lift the
It's the way to my sister. Lift. You actually have to lift that way, because that way you're actually building more body strength. I hit my goal mark yet. I have to squat like more than half my body weight right now. My highest squat at the moment is like 55. Deadlift, RDLs, like lift weight, because that's the only way you can actually build muscles. But in order to build muscles, you also need to make sure you're feeding your muscles with the right fruit and enough proteins. Because if you're not giving your body the right thing it needs to recover from all that exercises that you've done, then it's as good as you're just lifting and then form, not just lifting the weights. You need to
mm,
have
the right
proper
form?
and correct form, because you don't want to end up with kids whereby your bones can heal fast quickly. You don't want to
Yeah.
end up with a broken spine, a broken knee, a bad, need to make sure you're lifting with the correct form. So I do something called progressive overload. So I just don't go today, lift 20 kg, next day I'm trying to lift 50 kg, because it's like training, it's like having muscle memory. That's why even if you someone that is very consistent with the gym, let's say you have to stop for a brief while because of one reason or the other. By the time you go back, yes, you might feel a little bit not as strong as you were, but it wouldn't take time before your muscle picks up, this muscle memory. So like I do progressive overload, like I'm doing 3 sets of every exercise that I'm doing, maybe 8 to 10 reps, 3 sets. I normally don't do past 10 reps. I do 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps. But you see, my last set, I always tend to increase it by 2.5 kg or 5 kg. And once I get very comfortable with that, so I'm able to lift this conveniently without any stress, without any strain, then that's a sign to, yes, I need to bump it down, and then I have to increase the weight. So let's say, for example, when I'm doing my body that's back squats with the free weights machine. Let's say I start with my first 2 sets with doing 45 kg, then the last set is 50 kg. When it becomes very comfortable that I'm able to conveniently do 8 to 10 reps of 50 kg, that's time that the gradual progress that you're making,
Yeah.
that you're actually becoming stronger, then that becomes my starting weight. Then it becomes my first 2 set becomes 50 kg of 10 reps. Then the last set I increase it by 5 kg, and that's how I keep doing it. Increase it by 2.5, 5 kg to whichever I push it. I don't
So what you
lift.
just explained now, when you go to the gym, you always start with the lightweight first.
Yes, I mean we used to squat back then. Is not what I'm just using back squats as an example, because that's the first
Mhm.
thing that came to my head. But obviously they're like different exercise. Like
Do you use any supplement? I mean, a lot of things about protein supplement, pre-workout. Do you use any of that? And do you think it works for you?
to be honest, at the very beginning of my whole gym, I was never now the only reason I only use pre-workouts on days whereby I really want to go to the gym, but for some reason I'm like extra. But I don't use protein shakes. I don't use protein powder. It's difficult. I try as much as possible to get 80% of my protein from natural meals. Talking about, on a daily basis. I don't have protein powder, but I use a bit. I just recently started, because it also took me a while to figure out what actually, because there were some pre-workouts I don't know what they put into it, but like I'll react to it. I will eat. So I eventually found out what worked for me. But it's not something I use on a daily basis, because I feel like that way you're actually not body do the work. So I only use pre-workout on days where I'm extremely, days where I have the toughest exercise. So most of the time I only use it once a week. If I'm being honest, once a week, and it's not every week. There are some days whereby, and we all know leg days are the hardest. If I, get enough sleep, I don't need to use it. I don't use it at all for upper body day. I don't use it at all for when I'm training like full day. If I'm being honest, I will use it once a week, and it's not frequent. It's not frequent. Even the whole creatine, everybody's like creatine. Usually had creatine in my cupboard for 2 years that I just
Mm.
opened back. I had to be sure that it has not expired, but it did expire. So I was like, okay, let me even see what's this hype about creatine that it helps with muscle repair. I haven't really seen, but for the pre-workout, it does help on days where I'm extremely tired. But like I said, I don't know because it's not something I use consistently. But as for protein powders, I do not use any of that. I don't use protein powders. I don't take protein shakes, the ones that you have to mix. If I'm gonna do a protein shake, I do it naturally by banana, adding peanut butter, whatever I can add to it, just to get that focused on natural ingredients because you have to be very careful of what you're putting into your system.
And do you believe you're getting enough protein you should be getting a day?
Some days I hit my protein goal, some days I surpass it, some days I don't. So it's still a work in progress. I haven't, completely
Uh,
achieved. But protein is not the only thing we need. But to be honest, I try to at least eat 80% of my meal. 78% of my meal is protein and veg, and the remaining 20% is balanced between carbs and protein. Carbs and veggies. But I try to make sure, like today, I had 4 eggs. Sunny side up. I had some chicken legs, a bit of bananas, avocado. Then I had one slice of toast. So the only carbs I had on that plate was the one size of toast, and it was sourdough bread because sourdough bread is good for your health. I advise
tell
people to
us.
try it. Abandon white bread. White bread is not good for you.
Tell us. We love to learn.
White bread is not good for you. But yeah, I suppose it can be a bit of a struggle.
When you ask with PCOS, again, I would love us to talk about that. What is your greatest struggle and how do you
Hmm.
manage?
My greatest struggles till now is still making sure that you know, like I said, it affects everyone differently. For me, it's still the struggle is the mood changes, periods are becoming regular, but it's still like the mood. I'm figuring out what you actually need to eat because, that is still trying to work on their metabolism, to what you eat, and the timings because I can't eat at 10 p.m. and I will sleep well. Like some
Mm.
people would do. I have somebody that can wake up and eat at 2 a.m. and she'll be fine. I can't do that. I would wake up feeling very terrible the next day, very bloated. That food will not digest. I just end up going to the toilet and pouring my guts out. But it's still a bit of a struggle. But gradually, I've been able to hack like 50-60% of it. And like I said, I'm still learning a lot. I'm still finding out what works for me, but I'm leaning into more of depending natural remedies like food, natural herbs, and not supplements and not tablets because I don't want to be hooked on that for the rest of my life.
All right. Thank you. Last question. During your monthly cycle, I love to talk about this. How do you stay being active? I mean, a lot of things online saying during the ovulation period, women have enough strength to lift more, to do
Yeah.
things more. I do not see any evidence to prove that yet. But based on your own experience, personally, what is it like for you staying active during
Yeah,
monthly
they,
cycle?
they are right. If you happen to have a partner, you will know that the particular week in the month whereby there is just that really high energy, like the energy is through the roof, and your body. And also a recovery period, and there's also a period whereby the mood is just
Mm.
having low energy. So I mean, right, ovulation period is like technically, if I'm being honest with you, there's only 1 week in a month whereby as a woman you are not under any kind of pressure or stress, and you feel fine. Then the previous weeks is your body preparing for the stage, and there's one particular week whereby you feel, excuse my language, but you feel terrible, you feel like shit, and the strength to do anything. Weeks like that, go to the gym, and I realized that I don't push my body to failure, like to points whereby my knees are shaking because then I end the next day with pain or something. But sorry, before I just to digress a little, one thing
Yeah.
people forget to do is like it's the power of like stretching, actually lift. I realized that to the gym, you wake up with terrible pains the next day, but stretching and making sure like I there's some certain muscles that here and there we ignore. Muscles like hip flexors. If you stretch your hip flexors, you're able to get better depths with your squats. That's a typical example. But yeah, that's one thing people to the gym. I make sure I go for long walks.
Basically, no matter what, you still manage to stay active even on the
Yeah,
days that you feel weak.
I try to hit like at 10K steps a day. Where I focus on for my cardio, if I'm not on the Stairmaster, I'm either doing the cycling or elliptical trainer. And lately, I've started trying to incorporate running.
What advice can you give to anyone out there who is looking to transform like you? I mean, losing some weight or trying to get into fitness, maybe someone who is going to the gym or not. What can they do as a
My,
lady to
my
stay active?
advice is they shouldn't look at it as a short-term fix. Like they have to be really, really be prepared for it because it's easy. I promise you, it's not easy. There are a lot of days where you be like, well, I don't want to go. I'm just gonna, you have to be mentally prepared for it. And you have to look at it as something that you want long term, not just for short term fix. Because if you just want it for a short term fix, then you only get the short term adrenaline rush. And end of the day, you have to really, really want it, not because other people are doing it, or not because trend at the moment. You have to really want it for what's the benefit for me? How can I tailor it to aspects of my life? What can I? So you need to actually want it, not because people are doing it. 50 years, how do you want? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? How strong do you want to be? How healthy do you want to be? How fit do you want to be? Do you want to be 60 and you're already using a wheelchair or crutches, or 60 and you're active? So,
Anyway, we have a game that we play on this show. I would love to do that with you. Something very simple and easy. So I will read out three things to you. Okay. Two of it is fact, something true about fitness, and one is a lie, right? The first one says nutrition has a bigger role in fat loss than exercise. The second one, the glutes are the largest muscle group in the body. And the third one says lifting heavy weight will make women instantly bulky and look like a man. Which of these things is a lie?
Hey, I feel like there are actually two lies there, because like the glutes are not the biggest muscles in your body. They're actually your what am I saying? That's truth. I need to do a lot more reading, but the one that is a lie is lifting weights to make you look bulky and
Actually, glute is the largest muscle group in the body. So.
Oh, thank you very much. I learned something new today.
So yeah, the lie is lifting weights will make women instantly bulky and look like a man. There's nothing like that. No way.
Hey, do I get a prize for that?
Thank you so much, Oyin. It's so nice.
And thank you for actually reaching out, because I'm not a fitness influencer. I'm a very shy person, but I appreciate you reaching out. I'm motivated to put myself out there more. So thank you.